Time to learn.
Good morning, Porterville. This is Austin Slater of the Putnam Beats. We are here today to learn a little bit about my good friend here, Clarence Ogans, who owns a business called Pioneer Home Outreach. But first, I'd like to introduce my other good friend, Jonathan Ogans.
Hello, this is Jonathan Ogans. Hello, Porterville. How are you doing? I'm co-hosting with Austin Slater over here, and we got the man, my pops, in the building today. All right, Austin.
Oh, we're just excited to be here. So I wanted to know your backstory a bit, if you could tell me. Can you tell us a bit about Pioneer Home Outreach and how it started?
Actually, it's when I was involved in residential care for adolescents back in mid 70s, and from there it evolved over after I met my wife, Geraldine, who also worked for the Portersville Shelter Workshop. So therefore, as being working with children, the need was great. So we started the Pioneer Home Outreach Group Home Residential Care in Portersville, California, in 1988. From there, we left the group home residential care into the foster family agency, where we certify families to care for children, and that's been started in 1988, and we're continuing with it even today. Now, the background for why, well, children has always been something that's been a very caring thing due to my mother. My mother, regardless of where you live, we lived in Tulare, California. We went to Palo Verde Elementary School, which is out in the country. But when we got to high school, wherever things were going on within the city, my mother made sure that we were participants in that. We are from former cotton pickers. I have in one of my books that I'm writing, it states that while most people during that summertime would harvest the sun, we were headed to Santa Rosa, Hillsburg, to harvest the plums. So that was a great adventure for us. Every year we'd leave for at least 45 days or 2 months out of the year to harvest crops.
That's amazing. Tough work, too, I'd say.
We didn't notice that. I was probably too young to notice the hard work. I just know that it was good at camping.
Right. So I understand you came from a family of 6?
Family of 6. I'm the third oldest. We're formerly, third generations from Tennessee, hills of Tennessee, and also Mississippi. Background is that had a very daring, loving grandparent who would always see the need of a person. A person would come to her home needing a drink of water, regardless of how bad a shape he was. He would get that. And so that kind of shaped my mentality of how life should be. And also in today's world, it kind of worries me to see the homeless, especially families. And I will be working with someone here in Portersville, as soon as the East Side showers will end June 25th. I think it's necessary to have a place to go and clean themselves. Amen. And have a clean set of clothing, and of course, underwear.
So a homeless shelter.
Well, that has been tried here in Portland. It's an ongoing thing. Okay. I've worked for the Helping Hands, which I hold as a very high esteem for them. I mean, people, as I work there, I've never seen people treated with so much respect, regardless of the background. It was like going to a 4-star or 5-star restaurant, the way they're treated. Need more of that. We need more community or church involvement to set something up like that in the city.
Mr. Ogans, I wanted to go back to, so you said, your business. What made you want to start a business doing this type of work?
Since the mid 70s, I've been involved in it. It's just something that I felt that with the proper individuals who have the look at the child first and try to mold that child they make him a better citizen. And I have kids. Matter of fact, my oldest child that I have that's from the old days is 45 years old. They still think of me as the man.
Wow.
And I have people calling me from all the way back east. Now, not everything has been successful, but they do drop into my door here someday, sometime. Although I don't know who they are, but they remember me.
Wow.
And so I had a situation, lo and behold, a young man, 30-something, 40, dropped in, higher clearance, and I need help. They just kicked me out of one of the homes here. So I took his belongings, stuck him in the car, and took him to a place in Visalia.
Amazing. What inspires that self-service? Just your background?
Well, being that you have a society where I was raised with my upbringing, what can I say, from a small country school, everybody was cool, no issues whatsoever, and you look around the world and you see today, what hurts me is seeing families in the city here with their children out trying to solicit or seek funds. And I'm saying, since you've never been involved, never saw that, but in today's world, technology is rising so much faster for the younger generation.
Right.
Are we going to lose that one-on-one touch, individual, a feeling for someone? Because remember, everybody's just one step away from that.
Of course.
But being able to identify, I've been there before in a sense like this. It's the same thing as my military career. I've been there, so I know how to approach that.
Right.
Who was like your biggest supporter, contributor to you getting your business started?
Manuel Grary. He was one of the old timers from Tulare. He's not passed on now, but this is mid-1970s. And he was a social worker, and he would do things and say things. I thought the guy was losing his mind. But in the group home setting, after years and years, hey, he knew what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And about the best thing about dealing with children, always, every child, there's no bad children when you first meet them.
Yeah.
Let's always remember that. And it's better to rebuild a child than to rebuild a man.
Of course.
Okay. So I take that in consideration. Never let a child see you sweat, of course, because we've been around the block a couple of times. But always pointed in the right direction. I see little kids in the store. I said, I need a lawyer here. And I talk about things they need to do to improve themselves, to make the life different. I look around. When we were coming up, we have what we call the Neighborhood Youth Corps, which we were high school. We had jobs. We had jobs cleaning up the place, and that was very, very rewarding. So, yes.
Austin, do you have another question?
Okay. Sure. So, in your experience, you lived through the Vietnam era. What was your take on, Kennedy, say, or LBJ, or even Martin Luther King and Malcolm X?
Well, at that age now, here I am, high school, sophomore in high school, junior in high school. I'm not really we're seeing things happen in other parts of the country, but we're not part of that. So we're still enjoying life out here, not a form. Matter of fact, I'm 12 years old when the war in Vietnam started. I knew when it started. I said, hey, I'll be out. It won't touch me. In 1960.
So you were 12 in the war?
Well, I knew it was going on 12 in the fourth grade. I'm thinking about, fifth grade.
And you're thinking that,
No. So it was kind of but parents always supported a military from my family because that was just part of the goal. You military, you go in. Okay. So remember, we don't know the history. All we know is that we were drafted.
Right.
But I went down. I had to come up with a game plan here because Vietnam, we had a lot of folks coming back in body bags. So the game plan, how do I avoid that? Well, Clarence, you go down. The man said, man, you volunteer for this draft, and we're going to send you to, Korea.
Yeah.
Right. He said, all I got to do? He said, yeah. So anyway, you know that.
And so you thought you were gonna go to Korea?
Well, anyway, and I thought that I would go. I wanted to go to espionage, and they said, and the man said, just get your gear and go across the field there. We got your espionage and infantry training. Okay.
Gotcha.
So, but I was in when Dr. King was killed. I'm in Fort Benning, Georgia, airborne training for the 101st Airborne, and planes were flying out of Fort Benning on the way to Detroit, Chicago, New York, L.A. for the riots. So we were still shielded. We did not know anything what was going on. We just knew we couldn't go off base. And but the planes were flying in and out, in and out. When I did fly from Fort Lewis, Washington to Fort Benning, that's the first time the reality set in that I may just die.
Wow.
Because that's what they told me when I got off the plane.
Yeah.
Hurry up and get off. Somebody's waiting to kill you there. Well, that's reality.
Sure. Of course.
And then you learn as you go, and then you look back over it, and you meet people from that era, and they had, you know, everything was plotted, the life of a recruit on ground in Vietnam, the life of a seaman, you know, they had all types of things figured out when you get there. I was more afraid of Vietnam, but more afraid of, because of turnover, more afraid of the rookies, accidentally.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because, you know, you're spooked. I know I was.
You had mentioned something earlier, and you said like when you were in when Martin Luther King died, and they sent planes to go to the riots and stuff. Where you at? Was there like a disconnect between?
No, I'm in the barracks. We knew we couldn't leave.
Oh, okay.
We could not leave the base.
Okay.
They were using the base to fly in troops, National Guards, to go to these places. So you're already thinking about. You already have your pattern set. You're going to Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
You do not have time at this particular time because you don't have to worry about that because you're
in Vietnam.
You're sealed off
Yeah.
from going anywhere to talk about it.
Yeah.
You don't have that kind of contact nowadays. You do now, but back then we don't have that kind of we didn't have that kind of contact. It's just nobody can go off base today. Martin Luther King is being killed, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Austin, did you have a question?
So I want to jump back into your business.
I wanted to too, but go ahead.
Do you have any advice for other people that are trying to start a long-term business?
In today's world, while we're under the greatest change in the welfare system in history right at this particular time. So it's going to take a lot of work. I'm just going to use this term. I prefer to use this term when I talk to people. I want to use the term that we're into. It takes a village nowadays to raise the child. And what that means is it's going to take everybody everybody that is knowledgeable of family members or children. It's going to take a village. Everybody's going to have their input, which I think is great if we understand that it's going to take your input from your industry to tell a child, this is what you do, this is what you don't do. And then the child will, okay, then you come in, this is what you do. So it's not a one thing, he has a majority of people working. So that's what we're pushing right now. It's family, child-centered, group dynamics in order to salvage this child's, a family salvage this child's life. Even work with the family. That may not be what you feel, but from a non-judgmental, and that's what we're into right now. Everything is free-based, everything is open arms now.
Yeah, if you read through autobiographies, you know, that influences have a tremendous effect on the children, you know, in good and bad ways.
And I can speak the same myself because we were in our community, which is small village back in the day. Every family member knew each other, and we were talking about, and which was good because there were family members that you knew their whole dynamics, you know, and that related to you also. And then we had husband and wives that we would hang out with, so we got the chance to learn that dynamics of relationship, you know, and the different that may go on there. So you had a chance to educate them. We don't have that today's world because we can't trust as we used to because now.
So basically what you're saying is like in your case with the business, you basically got more educated on it before you kind of started?
Well, I understand what kids need. That's not to be denied anything that I would want myself. Kids have never been to amusement park. We're going to go there.
Okay.
They've never been to the beach. We're going to go there. We're going to go to those places that they would never, ever probably have a time to go at this age.
Right.
At this particular, adolescent age, excuse me. Adolescent and youth and children. So we make that available for them in our organization. We have Osana comes down in December, and we have a little spark play, and we're going to have this year, the Grinch is going to be messing with Santa as he come down, and we have a Grinch already selected. We had Igor come down and help Santa out one time. So it's always something. Then we have the kids have a talent show, and then of course I'm the clown of there and try to build them up like coming out of New York, the greatest show ever had. Sure. There's a foster parent out there that wanted to see this group from years ago. I finally got them.
Wow.
From Strathmore, California.
Of course.
So I have a question. So I'm a young man. I want to maybe not start a business like yours, but start a business. Where would you give them advice on where to like kind of start?
Well,
like,
always.
What would be the key thing you could give them?
A millionaire once said that if you want to know what he have, you come see him. So if you want to learn what someone else is doing, you hang around with that person. And I hung around. I was a grocery manager at 12 years old, liquor store. Back in the day, country store. You kind of get away with a lot of things in the country. So I had a chance to see people come in needing a little something off the back counter, and put it on the tab, and come payday, I'm sorry, But I had an opportunity to do that. I had an opportunity at a young age. Like things are different. I've been to at least 1/3 of the world by the time I was 28.
Wow. That's amazing.
On my own. Military, that's all.
Wow. So, can we jump back to the draft just briefly?
Hold on. Let me
Please.
ask a question just about the business.
Okay. Yeah.
What was your biggest challenge you had to face when it came to starting and having a business? Like, what is the biggest thing when you started up and said, "This is the obstacle that I'm going to have to overcome"?
Well, I came up. I was very fortunate to run into Manuel Gary. I mentioned that earlier. He's a social worker. Remember, I'm one of the first, my first in Tulare County, one of the first to do residential care for adolescents. And it started in the 70s. Well, everybody else is gone now. And but I remember those people because they had started. So therefore, when you start a business, as I said before, go see who's doing it. Go hang around. When I do business with people, I would take you down to a very successful organization and let you see them doing their doing, and then you give you an idea of what you must do. I knew what to do because remember I came in grassroots. I came in where all I do is go to Tulare County's Visalia to get a rate for a child. Now it's totally different.
Right. Okay, so just jumping back into the draft, I understand my father-in-law actually during Vietnam, he did not want to be drafted to the Army, so he went into the Navy. And my grandfather did something similar in World War II. He actually went to the Navy to avoid being drafted into the Army. Were you ever concerned about the draft to the degree that you wanted to?
Everybody was going. I mean, your friends draft Germany or Vietnam. I didn't have a fear. I didn't know. Actually, at 17, 18, you don't really know what your plans are.
Of course.
You don't know that you're going to fight. Now, I'm still at this day, as I talk to people, did we stop communism? That's what it was all about in Vietnam. There was no, resources. So years later, we still debate that. What did we come up with? Years later, My shirt may be made in Vietnam now. What about yours?
Oh, probably.
See, so I don't know.
Mine's probably made in China.
I on my car I have class of '69 because I remember those who died and who didn't come back.
Right.
And you meet when you're drafted, you meet people from all over all cultures, and you must be able to decipher what you want to do.
I think that was the best part for me, just meeting different people, joining, just meeting different people all over the country, even from other countries. Like I had a Colombia guy that was from Colombia that came over here to join, because they go to those countries and they recruit. So it was very interesting.
And I think that's the one of the things that you have to. Your young people have to get outside of your net here. You have to venture out, and venture out. Even going across the border into Mexico, just to get an idea. There are people who live somewhat different than you live.
Right.
When I was there, it was shocking to see the lifestyle that's so different. But this is life.
Yeah.
So we have to get outside. Now back to Vietnam. I didn't really. When I came out of training into Vietnam, getting ready to go up to the front line, somebody stopped me and pulled me aside. And what do you want? The buddy went to ask them what they want. There's no way. I did not know what they want. I'm in Vietnam. You know, always the nights and the bombs and I never seen so many dogs. You know, German shepherds.
Wow.
People we flew in. Oh, and I was more afraid of rookies than because you get freaky over there. I mean, you get scared.
Okay.
And all the training, you hear the training of, hey, they're in a barrack, and you know good and well when bombs are coming in, you do not run, you crawl.
Right.
And you know what they did? They ran. They ran outside. You don't do that. So, you know, so you're going to kind of make sure people know who you are, because people are triggering at you. I'm not just nervousness.
It reminds me of that scene in Jarhead where Jamie Foxx is they're doing the bear crawl.
Okay.
And then they're shooting live rounds.
Yeah.
And the guy gets up because he's scared, because he's a rookie in the Marines, and he gets up and he gets shot.
Right.
You know, so that's what that kind of reminded me of.
Wow.
So when rookies came in, was that like a kind of an easy time?
No.
Because
Well, back to Vietnam. When you come in, you're always. I mean, you got 12 months, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's talking about short. When you say short, that means you have at least 60 days to go. And you have people saying short, and you're trying to figure out what does that mean. And then you get to the place where they say, Mr. Ogans, you can go home now. And you say, where am I going? And they say, you're going to go to South Carolina. But I got a plan for you, Mr. Ogans. You give me another month, and I'll kick you out free. You said 30 days? Now, as I go through training, as I come back, I got out, then I go to counseling.
Right.
He said something that made sense. The therapist, he said, Clarence, if you'd have went to South Carolina, you may be in Fort Leavenworth.
Mm.
That's the military prison.
Oh.
why was that?
Because coming home, you're not going to take too much stuff. I said, what are you talking about? Well, see, a lot of them went to Fort Leavenworth, because coming back, you're not going to have a rookie sergeant telling you to do something. You may
snap.
Well, you may fight, you know. And
Okay.
so you go to Fort Leavenworth. So I didn't. So it made sense after I heard that, because you've been in Vietnam, and then you come home, and then they say, "Hey, soldier, you know, we have what we call the instant NCOs.
Mm-hmm.
He comes out of buck sergeant to tell you what to do."
Okay.
And that was such a, and I did get a chance to see one of those guys. As I looked over the counter, he's going home. You know, his eyes were just straight away. He was, just open wide. Coming out of the field. And I've heard a lot of stories that going home stories. I ain't talking about that, but going home stories. Misuse. I mean, actually, I think I didn't know anything about some of the benefits until very late in life.
Wow.
Not many people did come at home knowing about the benefits. And
Well, they did if I hadn't have been, and I think what happened was, as you get so many things happening with military now, everybody's talking about it. Back in the Carter day, who's that? The president, one of the presidents that became a big thing back then.
Reagan?
No, come down.
Kennedy?
The guy from Arkansas.
Nixon?
Clinton.
Clinton.
I think it became.
I was thinking Vietnam era, so I was like, guy from Arkansas. That's
I think it was. Now you mentioned something about Kennedy being killed.
Right.
Well, still, we're in adolescent age. It was a big thing. Nixon, Kennedy. It was a bringing together. Nixon, he can be in the bathroom and the girls will be out, Nixon, and then Kennedy. So it was an exciting time.
Wow.
Oh yeah, kids. Yeah, that was
interesting.
Girls. Yeah, it was this was elementary. Nixon, and it was the TV made it that way.
Oh.
So so we got a chance to see it. We got a chance to see. Yeah, that's what started it. So we got a chance to see that, and that was exciting. But nothing has taken its toll until you start aging up, and then you become a man.
Mm-hmm.
You have to think like a man. And I tell people, a lot of rookies don't understand. 18-year-old, you know why you can vote? Because of Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
18 to die,
Yeah, okay.
18 to vote.
Amen.
But not 18 to drink, though.
Not 18.
I thought that
Sorry.
was. Well, I don't know how that. I don't know any laws right now. All I know is that the vote, get them out to vote, and so just and hang it. Yeah, that's good. Get them out to vote, and that's most important. But I'm so glad that so many people now are getting aware. Have to be aware. I only think that by being aware, I think most politicians make sure everybody knows what's going on. Now, just no half truths, no half truths.
Yeah.
I mean, say in your conversation, check the facts, something. No half truths.
Right.
So anyway, so politically, nobody in my generation, we were into anything of nature just for a good rally cry.
Mm-hmm.
We did not get into anybody's political stance
Ah.
at that age.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did we didn't know. Man, I won't say, but back then we didn't know who was who. We just got a chance. It's like a good rally cry. So
Okay.
nowadays you guys have an idea of starting. God dog, last 20 years at least. Well, since '94 the war, it's everybody take notice who's in power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who said go? You guys know that.
Yeah.
How did your mother feel when you got drafted?
Oh, you gotta go, boy. Take you
That's
to
what
church.
she said. She just.
Take you to church and get prayed for. Now, oh yeah, we did that. Church get prayed for. Now, for me, the greatest part about Vietnam in my life, it was one midnight, about 3 a.m. in a black tent. They brought us down. We got a chance to call Mama
Aw.
for 5 minutes.
Aw.
Oh,
That's awesome.
Did she answer?
yeah, they got it.
Oh.
She said, son, I wish I could be in your place. I said, Mom, I do too.
Aw. That's amazing.
It was beautiful, man. Oh man, you should. We were lined up like a city block.
Yeah.
Pitch dark in the tent.
Yeah. Sure.
And a little, you had a little light, a little whatever to get the number. Oh man, it was exciting. Okay.
I can speak from experience though. That first call when you get to call your family,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
best feeling after boot camp.
Okay.
That is the best feeling.
Yeah, I'm
Best
sure
feeling in the world.
my
Yeah.
brother Nick probably felt the same way
Yeah.
coming out of the Marines.
Yeah.
Well,
was
you
the
should
best
see
feeling.
them, especially you young when you're the eyes just excited to talk to someone. For somebody, it just lights you up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So coming from the Vietnam era where there was the draft and stated, now we don't have the draft anymore. Do you think that's better, worse, or what's your opinion?
I don't know. Remember, they stopped the draft because of the. I guess we didn't get much in Vietnam. I guess we had to come out, and so now the volunteer army. I guess you can't complain
Okay.
if you volunteer, because I do. Now my
Do you
group
think you would have volunteered if you hadn't been drafted?
for Vietnam.
Yeah. Would you have volunteered? Do you think you would? That's something you
Well,
might have considered.
Remember, volunteer. I mean, Vietnam was everyday life. Your TV programs, everyday life. Everybody was going. There was no way you.
Well, what I'm saying, I guess, if there was no draft, and it was just if it was volunteer at the time, if there was no draft, would you have volunteered?
It's hard to say because I knew nothing else but draft. The draft for 8, maybe 10 years before I got there.
Okay.
Is, that's all
So
we knew.
that's all you knew.
That's
So
all we knew
you
is
don't know
draft.
what your mindset would have been. If
Only thing I remember is one night coming back from Porterville, California, with a group of guys, and the newscaster was telling us, guys like you folks, they gave you to 12 midnight to get married, and it was over. See, a lot of folks got married to avoid the draft.
Wow.
See, back then you can get married, and they had a day. I never get that. 12. Everybody was rushing to get married because you got married, you didn't get drafted. But they put a stop to that.
Okay.
So that was kind of now. Still, I'm a kid. I'm just
Okay.
15,
Yeah.
and that was on the news, and they were getting married to beat the draft. So that
you didn't have that opportunity.
No, I never knew anything about it until I didn't remember. This was a part of 10 years. Let's say 8, almost nearly 10 years of draft. That's all you knew. It's not like now they're calling up guys. See, because once you finish your military obligation, you still have 6 years call up. You didn't know that.
No, I didn't.
You still got 6-year call up. So I met a fellow the other day because they're going to do regrouping more.
Right.
He got a call from his sergeant. He's been out 2 years.
Oh no. That's
I forgot all about the 6-year obligation. I really did.
wow.
Because even when you left Vietnam, we had 6 years. 6 years on tail. So now that's something.
So how come you decided to have your business in Porterville instead of Tulare, where you were from? How come you?
Well, where I married, my wife was from Portersville.
My mother, by the way.
So, therefore, I already knew what I wanted to do in the business. I knew how to contact, and plus, my wife was familiar with the same type of federal state regulations. So we had a dual dynamic there. We've moved 4 or 5 times office space. We've taken care, literally hundreds of children. So that's just a calling that treating a child, there's nothing better for a child than to feel safe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as I said now, for you young people now, we're in the change, one of the greatest changes in the state of California that will affect your life, okay? And it's child first. So you are into the greatest change right now. Actually, it's all over the United States, but California just came in 2014, and everybody's getting ready to do the number by 2019. So what I'm saying, this is a new wave. Now, something new for me and my agencies, all agencies in the state of California, is the reaching out in the village type scenario. I call it village because it can be relative, kinfolk, close friend that wants to join this committee to work with any young man. Why don't we just unplug it? Can we the bottom there? No. Okay.
Oh.
So anyway, I'm just letting everybody know that this is it's a trying time. So many children. What is it, 1,000+ per month here in Tulare County? So we have to be ready to address that now. We're out to recruit what they call families to understand that every child, regardless of their background, you understand? Every child, regardless of their likes and dislikes. Do you understand what I'm talking about, young man?
Yes, sir.
We are to now respect that child's belief system. Now, I hope we understand that. And this is something that we have to understand. And I want to thank everybody for in the business, Pioneer Foster Family Agency. We will attempt to recruit as many families there are possible or that are willing to look past the behavior and see the need of the child.
Of service.
Non-judgmental to the bio family,
Okay.
and they will be able to learn from you, the resource family,
Right.
because you will be the instructor of how to make it better for their child. Hopefully the child can return back to the family with your assistance. Wouldn't that be wonderful? That some family was salvaged to take their child back into their home. Wouldn't that be this is what it's all about. So this is to be the challenge for the 21st, 23rd, 24th, this century or this decade, is to try to become part of a family. And that's the next quest of the state of California. Now, I like it because it will be able, hopefully through this new system, we can get more people willing to want to go back to school, to learn more and more about child care.
Right.
That grandmother that has a child that's living in a home will be willing to come up and bring that child and be a part of the family, and then look outside source to assist them and aid them. The agency becomes a directory of all needs of a family. Non-judgmental is the key word, regardless of whatever walks of life that child is designated. You must be non-judgmental. You must see the behavior, may not like it, but love the child. And this takes time, but this way you have a team working.
Like the Christians say, love the sinner, hate the sin.
Okay, now this is a strong thing. I'm preaching to everywhere I go. I preach to people in certain areas. We have children that do abortions. You may not like it, but the child is most important.
Correct.
And we're not, see, this is what we have to, even today's market, we have to understand acceptance is what it's all about. And every person has to work on their own self, because we have no heaven or hell to put anyone, but we can say, and I sometimes joke about this. I said, certain people may not have a different opinion of certain body,
Right.
but if he was the bank president, I needed some money. And the lady popped up, but yeah, that's true. But we're not here for that right now.
No.
We're here for money. So that's a pretty good way she said it.
Yeah.
I say because you've heard people you don't like.
Yeah. Of course.
But if you go to the bank and he's bank president, how you doing?
How you doing?
We're not here for that other stuff.
Hey, Donald, I'll take the small
Yeah.
loan of $1 million. I
So-
understand that sentiment.
So we have to understand the challenges faced before and be smart enough to take make a mistake, learn from it, but also seek out those who know a little bit more than you know.
Amen.
And learn from them. That don't mean they're Superman, but you learn from them. My mistake that you have that in this business is recruiting a lot of talent, which we're not in Fresno or Batesville or New York where we can college of this more universities. We don't have that.
Of course.
So you have to work, and we've been very fortunate. I have a crack staff of mostly master degree social workers, and but the challenge is still there. We have to now locate the parents that say, hey, you know, we can be a part of this thing with the new system that's established now, and we can make it work. It's a challenge. Now, 2019, everybody's got to come into the resource type family.
Okay.
By 2019.
2019.
Should have been starting in 2015, 2014, 2017. So I'm a late bloomer here because it's coming. I got to my thing now in a small community because, and you have to be accredited. My situation there is living in a rural area, the challenges. So we have to look upon that as being something to take in consideration. But I have to have people that are willing to accept the issue that we are a team.
Right.
Yeah.
I depend on you to let me know what you know. I'm not taking from you. You're utilizing me to make this thing better.
Right.
As I speak to you as whatever your career goals is, I may throw something, hey, it may make sense. May make sense someday. I see why he said that. And then you take that and say, I see why he said that. Right. And then it may come out that in the long run it may be useful. Because you got, I always go find out what you will do. And also, please find out how much money you're gonna be making.
Yes.
In your career, please.
Yes.
Because I've seen more people go into something, end up, not knowing the facts. Right. When I have my displays for my setting for children, I have a picture of every occupation with a $sign at the bottom.
How much you'll make for?
Because it's the worst thing to feel in the world is saying, well, money's not important. Oh yeah? Try to pay bills.
Amen. I know that, sir. You gotta hustle. You gotta hustle.
It's not. We didn't say it was. I didn't say it was strangling you.
No.
I just said reality checks in.
Right.
And so basically, with young people, I want to ask them that they don't know the question to how much they're going to be making if I want to be whatever.
They don't teach that in school.
Thank you.
It's true.
I need people like whoever you folks are to understand nothing is free.
Amen.
Okay. You must understand nothing is free. They must understand that from school.
Sure.
That that dollar is cut up, into pieces, and so therefore you have to understand. You got to tell people, no, nothing's free.
Right.
We live in like someone's paying for something, and this must be taught. And it's not that you're putting anybody down. You just want to say, hey, it does cost. And we have to make use of everything that costs our time. And this is something I think is missing. Maybe schools, everybody here say they don't teach in the school. But I got to say, when that kid say, I want to go get that free, no, it's not. See, nothing personal, but it is a cost to me. And then respect the person. Because this is why I go to a lot of stores, to the workers, I say power to the taxpayer.
Amen.
Now, he may not understand what I'm talking about. But back in my day, it's like power to the people, power to the taxpayer.
Okay.
But anything else?
Okay, can I? Go ahead. Growing up in Tulare, did you ever experience any outright racism? And as a result of that, if you did you have any resentment toward white people at any point in your life?
Well, when I was 4 years, 9 months, my buddies looked up on me on the slide and said, hey, look at that one. Let's call him Chocolate. And I will write a book about that someday, but it's funny. These are my best friends. 4 years, 9 months. I thought that was funny, so I went home. I said, wait, Mama. I went up to my mother. You been jiving me? And so that's the end of my. No, we didn't have that. That's what I had that feeling, man. And when I really, now hear me out. The worst thing that may have affected us was these African Americans that came in from Arkansas. They came in from Arkansas to Palo Verde.
Wow.
Now that was wow, who are these people? And I just feel so well how that was accepted and how they flowed in. And we have a German principal teacher who still stays in contact today. Even when my son went in the military, he sent me a letter telling me my son had went in the military. But that transition now
was
here.
Was the German teacher, was that the one where the boy placed the book on his head?
No, that's we have them kind of people.
Oh, okay.
But I thought that was so exciting how that Palo Verde, the Sheriff Whitman, that's his home. Judge Severa, that's his. How well that stuff rolled over without any complication. Now remember, a lot of these workers we were Portuguese.
Yeah.
And we were African Americans, European, all the combinations there, but we were workers.
Yes, sir.
And we didn't have that. That's why I said it'd be kind of difficult for me to understand when we never had that. See, we didn't have who? You know, we partied like everybody. We partied, and we did everything. Everybody went against the small schools, Waukena, Sunville, Oakville. Never saw not one bit. Personally. Now,
Not
we
to say it didn't
we
go on,
felt
but you didn't
well,
experience it.
none of our kids did.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Now,
you know,
now the principal, he didn't show no respect for nobody, because he had 3 paddles. He had one that had holes drilled in it, cut down on draft, and he had one like one cut down. One was a table paddle, and one was a baseball bat trimmed down. And so we would put books, you know.
Yeah.
We'd put books, but that was part of the village. No, all respect. Everybody was judged the same. Oh no.
That's interesting. I think it was Dr. Martin Luther King that said, "Change isn't brought about by fighting the old, but embracing the new."
Yeah.
That's true.
So
You got to work with the institution. You got.
that's one thing I can say about. I also think because I didn't want to be. We didn't want to be prejudiced against the Arkansas African Americans.
Of course.
Because we didn't know they were coming from segregation.
Sure.
And and lo and behold, the thing mellowed out so beautiful. It's hard to say.
Right.
I mean, I never seen that. You know, I talked to Dave. My God, I even talked to them. Did you feel any prejudice against us?
Yeah.
Coming from Arkansas, and my God, it was just a beautiful feeling.
Well, since you mentioned Arkansas, my great grandpa, he actually came from Arkansas as well, and I guess he had the sentiment in mind that poor is poor, and so African Americans. He felt the working class was united. He didn't see any prejudice towards that, which says a lot about that time, because there were a lot of white people that.
Yeah. I mean, so I was raised in that kind of environment. Okay. We had nothing. We had none of that. So I mean, it was. I'm not naive that it wasn't there, but I was not raised in that environment. The only person that I feared in life was my mother, because she didn't play. She didn't fight fair when she went to beating on your behind. She didn't play. And I like that, because she, I mean, the woman, my God, man, distilled a lot in her life, and did not allow us to get out of any order with her. So we take, and this is growing up. We're not fighting anything racist. We're just fighting, mom. But one thing I'll tell parents: never do this. When your child do something wrong, and he leaves home and come back at night, let him go to sleep and sleep all night. Don't wake him early.
Why is that?
You thought you got away with something?
Oh, yes. Oh, loud and clear.
Now I wouldn't do that, but
Wow.
So anyway,
my dad's favorite saying was, "I'm a '90s dad. I'm playing it cool."
Yeah.
He would get mad at me. I'm playing it cool. I'm
No,
a 90s dad.
because
I'm trying
anyway.
to be a '90s dad. That's what he would
So
say.
all that built,
and then he'd go into a story. You know what my mom used to do to me, and then
all the days. It's hard. I mean, I wonder about that a lot when to meeting different people from different parts of the world, different part of the United States, and I look at things. Hard work. Nothing stops no one. You put your mind on it.
I agree with that.
You put your mind on it. And you challenge that. When you have to do 10 things, there's only one of you. Figure out a way how to maneuver each one, and then grow, create ways, and then you to me become successful. Business world, study, learn, knowledge. At one time, and when I got into this business, I knew all the regs, because it was easy, because I mean it was ABC. Now it's you have to jump a lot of loops now. So, but I knew that. I mean, just from mid 70s, I knew exactly what it got to be secondary, and it's kind of like talking to younger people. It may be you got to give up. You got to give up when you go to do something. You got to put your heart into it. You got to become part of it. Okay, I don't want to. No one is going to slow me down. If I had to take you to the hospital tomorrow and I got to be in Fresno, I may have to bandage you up and take you to Fresno, then take you back to Bakersfield for the hospital. What I'm saying is, nothing should happen that's going to interfere with you can't think about the next move, because you still got to do what you're supposed to do. You're still challenged to do. Now, if he's not bleeding to death, take him on first. But if you understand,
Yes,
but if you can manage, and I say this because I don't like living this way, but I have kids that get kicked out of school, then it's called upon me. Well, my day doesn't stop when I pick that kid up.
I see. Okay.
I still got to maneuver for others.
Right.
So, and wherever he can flow along with me.
I did want to ask you, schooling wise, where did you go to school? Like, what was what'd you get your degree in? Like, what schools did you go to? Give us a little backstory on that.
I call it extensive study. Now, it's a long study. When I got out of Vietnam, okay.
Yeah.
End up with another domestic problem, but then I wanted to go into business. I think I went to COS for 2 minutes. And
at that time, what business did you want to do?
Didn't know.
Oh, you didn't know at the time.
I didn't know.
You just knew it was business.
Because Uncle Sam paid me a little money to go to school.
Okay. Yes,
I went to first advent was from a woman by the name of Ethel Daly. She said something back in the 60s and 70s. They were going off to school. And so she said, Clarence, you can do this same thing too. I never dreamt of it. They were teachers, San Jose State. So I went to Seattle and started North Community College and started on that game through school. So then left North Community Seattle and went to University of Washington. Did 18 months there. Then as I drove home one day from Seattle, Washington, I happened to pass through Davis, California. And all that sunshine. In that university. I say, I got to go.
You found you a spot.
So come back to, but the smart thing about it, and I tell people this, if you're working for McDonald's here in Porterville, head on down to UCLA and work for McDonald's and still go to UCLA.
I get that, sir.
I did that. I started with Sears.
Side note, McDonald's has the best coffee around.
I started with Sears in Seattle, Washington. Okay, saw Davis, I got to go.
Yes, sir.
Hooked up with Sears and Visalia, did a little time at COS. Then got a chance to get up to Davis at another Sears.
Sure.
So then okay, now I'm cool. I'm left there. Still, I hadn't got my bachelor's. And one day, University of San Francisco, they started the internet to get your bachelor's. Okay, so bachelor's. Then at 50, I said, need a master's, because if I'm in the business I'm in, I don't need to. I need that master's, so I got my master's from the one down south. I can't think of the name. That's kind of a sad, but Cal State.
Fullerton?
Next one. Starts with the N, I think. Anyway, that was kind of. Anyway, it's long. No, it's out in Carson. Dominguez Hills.
Dominguez Hills. There you are. I took classes with them online in high school.
Yeah. Is that right?
So, they got the Young Scholar program.
Yeah. That's good. So I graduated from there.
Don't start with that.
I mean, I'm just no. See, because it's been a long time, so many schools. So I got my master's there.
Of course.
And after
your master's in?
Well, actually, I was trying to get in. My discipline was social work. Discipline, but I didn't get it. They wouldn't give me the master's in social work.
Right.
I had to challenge the board up here in Sacramento. But I didn't feel like doing it because the guy I wrote to Professor Turk, and I said, hey, I want to challenge to take the test in San Francisco. So then, but as one thing, I used the old term. There was a Southern gentleman who was a millionaire, and he said duh, D, and all that. And they said, you just don't have it. And then he said, is I'm rich or am I rich? So
it doesn't matter. Until now,
it doesn't matter.
So I'll never forget that.
That's a good one, man. That's a good one.
And he was country,
Yes, sir.
So anyway, the next thing was,
wild.
I said in the business, if you have the business and the money, you can pay for good staff
Right.
to do those things. So I didn't further challenging it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I just said, hey, you know, there's a master person need a job, and we'll end that.
Do you think it was easier in the 80s in that Reagan era or Carter era to start a business than it is today?
Well, I have never. I guess I'm going to say when you take a person who has so many other problems, I mean,
Yeah.
trying to see because in those days I still got to wake up every morning and pray that everything goes right.
Amen.
See, it's not like I'm thinking here right now. I got my maybe 40 people up here.
Yeah.
And a whole lot of this, so I have to get up and hopefully everything works out fine because you never know in this business because things change overnight, and I mean things change not good. So I have to get up every morning, waiting for if I got a good day, take advantage of a good day. You know, take advantage of what I got to do. Right now, unfortunately for me, I'm constructing a rabbit cage for my granddaughter. So that's a lot of work.
Sure.
So I got to figure out I got to do this, got to do this. So it's always something that I've learned how to. And politicians, like if you find doctors have to learn how to mesh their time.
That's true.
You know.
That's true.
And if you're a doctor, you're operating on me.
Yeah.
And if you get a phone call, please let the phone call go. You know, because what's the guy was the doctor who had a deal of investments. Oh, and he got to told his broker what to do, and well, you guys heard the story what happened to the patient. Yeah. He got a call. Broker. Maybe that's
Oh yeah.
that's true. I mean, yeah.
That's a good one.
So anyway, that's the truth.
It's
I mean, the guy
true.
is
True story.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah.
not a joke.
Yeah.
No, it's a true story.
I feel terrible.
He called.
Well, you can make it a call. Your
girlfriend.
Your girlfriend may call while you're in the middle of
He called him while he was
we're
in the
taking
middle of
a home.
surgery, and he was talking to him and the patient. Yeah.
Well, you may be a politician, and do
Yeah.
you want me to push the button now? Yeah. No, not that button. No.
That could easily happen with
Yeah.
the man in this office right
Yeah.
now. But
So anyway,
Let's,
so a lot of things go on.
Okay.
For a young generation, I don't know. I think you guys have so much. The younger generation has so much talent, as technology talent, that things are easier. I'm just trying to figure out what Wi-Fi is.
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi.
It's Wi-Fi.
You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit stuck here.
You'll get there, sir.
Now,
Help you out.
as I went to school and when all this stuff got started, I felt so bad that learning is what I'm doing now. Learning, but I'm not the only one. My system, my old age, we have a lot of folks trying to learn this system. Everybody wants you to pay bills online.
Sure.
Old folks don't understand. Most people don't understand that. So you have to, older. I'm talking about the younger. I mean, like this thing here is going to save a lot of marriages because when you go to the grocery store, did you say 2 dozen or 3? 5. Do you have? Ask me the Black Panther. I see that's on there. Do you have that question?
Yeah. Tell me about the Black Panther movement.
Okay. Now remember, I'm in Tulare. Remember, I have.
No, Go ahead.
Remember, we're in Tulare. We're trying to different day of the day. That was not a big part. We had splinter groups come down, but that did not affect what we had to do.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We only read about them in history, like you do now.
Okay.
And Huey Newton, we only read about it in history. I do, the Huey Newton. What we only read Angela Davis on history. That were not fully there. You know what I mean?
So, kind of to parallel to bring things back to civil rights, would you say that the Black Panthers could have been justified in what they did? Or, I mean, what's your take on the MLK versus Malcolm X?
Okay, now must remember that I'm a person who weighs everything. I was raised in a community that everybody was, I'm going to use the term, I'm going to say political minded, I mean really
Right.
really
Right.
news. Remember that some people everybody from the black community comes out with stories, you understand that?
Uh-huh.
So we have these stories, and we were not afflicted personally. We had all we wanted as far as happiness, whatever that was, we had it. Our community was a bubbling community, poor, happy folks.
Would you say it was kind of like not a bubble, but just kind of shielded, kind of not from like not? I mean, you heard about things, but it wasn't like you. Like you said, it didn't directly affect you, so it was kind of like you were kind of shielded off by.
I guess that's what that's
like you know what I mean. That like in a kind of like in a bubble. I
I
guess
know
in a way.
a lot of people say that, but I don't because there are pockets, but we did not. You know, it's just we were happy with what we were doing. I don't know. So back to the question of those days. You must remember, African American teenager in Tulare, California. Well, it's a free movement anyway. We're not worried about. We're not worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people are fighting whoever, and just fighting to be fighting. My uncle would fight the police. There wasn't nothing racial there. They were just drunk on the street. He'd go to jail.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Tell me about that.
He wouldn't go to jail. And grandma had to go pay for the policeman's shirt. So there was no happy life. Even today, even today, I think it's up here, brother. I think it's up here. During their day, Martin Luther King, in the Gandhi non-violent.
Right.
Then Malcolm X study history. Nobody. I asked people have they read the guy's book. Nobody seemed to really read the book. Have you read the book?
Malcolm's?
Yeah.
I've not.
No, I want to.
I should.
See,
I want to.
you got to read the book. I see the transition of his life
Okay.
after he went to the Middle East. You got to get the transition.
Right.
Then the transition is who you're judging by. See, because everybody was mad back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, because
Yeah.
that everybody was mad back then, but you got to move the transition and make, and still today you'll learn about other issues that don't make sense. But issues of his life, because this was part of our reading assignment in college. I guess part of our reading assignment in college was Malcolm X, and a whole lot of other people.
That's awesome.
Well, that was reading time. So you saw the transition, and we all also know what happened to him. After the transition. So you got to come to transition where one person speaks about segregation, and then wait a minute, life is not like that. Then he learns something, and then you say, wow, this guy, So we have, and that goes with everybody who's willing to change. Now, in my book, I have the South African who said his son is learning how to live with one another. The white South African said his son is, and maybe his son can teach him because he's raised in since the time. So, in today's world, I want to be able to, when I go out to make a march, I want to know what I'm dealing with. So I'm not going to go out there and to burn anything down because my taxpayer got to pay for it. Now, this is something that people should teach. But I don't get into movements or something that they need to call me first.
Yeah.
Every movement need to call me first. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Then I would say, this is what we deal with it. See, if I studied politics when I was in UW, and we went out and we campaign managed because we had to do this as part of our game plan. So I know the game plan. But one thing about it shouldn't be this difficult unless you can make people believe something different. And I don't want to have to say, stick with me through thick and thin. I want you to say, no, that's not right. And so back in those days, the 60 movement, I want to make sure that, why did they have to be that kind of cruel behavior in the first place? Somebody's got to soul search.
Okay.
And when you soul search, you come up and say, hey, wait a minute. Now, we're not going to be fools. Don't get me wrong.
Of course.
No, regardless of what color you're, we're gonna judge a man on his what he's able to do.
Right.
Not on, if I see something that's not right, we got to say, hey, man, I'm sorry.
Would
this
you,
and that.
would you take that same attitude towards the LGBT community?
I just got through preaching to you about my business. Did you gain anything when I said anybody?
Yes, sir.
That's what we're talking about, brother.
Yes, sir.
And I mean, to issue that, but I want to make sure this is the way your state's going now. When I said everybody, that's why I use that term. I just want to say I want a wraparound service,
Right.
and that's where our business is going.
Of course.
I wanted to ask you a question. You said you mentioned before about group homes. Do you not have any anymore? And if you don't, how come what happened with that?
Doneto's
I'm sorry.
money.
Ah.
Mm.
Ah. Yes.
Okay, in some cases it's quite expensive to keep a child. One,
Mhm.
like I say, I entered in at $800 a month. Way back then. No, wait a minute. That ain't nothing now.
No, but back then,
800 was.
still not.
No, it's no. I mean that's what I mean. Talking about in the mid 70s.
Okay.
Okay, now maybe 10 to 15
Per hour?
Nope, not even on hours, brother. I'm trying to be 10 to 15,000 per month,
Ah, yes. Okay.
and that's got to be cut down. This is why we're going into the new movement now. You got to come back and break it down. You can't stay there but 6 months, and then you go into the group thing somewhere, some home. So it's a lot of interesting things. This is why it's hard to certain countries. That's why. But I think dialogue would come in where we've got to see this thing as it really is. Some people are just downright evil, and some people are downright willing to make this a better country.
Okay.
We have people trying to come here to this come to this country. For what reason? Because of what we have to offer here. So we have to look at everything the way it is and put yourself in that position, number one. We are a law and order country. We understand that. And we also understand the other side. We want to do the biblical thing, treat your brother, sister, and whoever in that same community you just brought up,
Right.
is lumped into that. You're 10% of the population. Did you know that? Of that group you just brought up. 10% of the population.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So that's why we're having to change our mode of conversation with how we treat anyone.
Right.
And regardless, and it's going to be soul searching in you. Your life got to say, wait a minute, how do we? I've been taught, and this is my book say. Our program says, can we turn the tide? Can we turn the tide?
Did you have another question?
Okay. So today I know my generation's very divided. There's many people on the far left and the far right. But it sounds like back then people didn't care so much Republican or Democrat. So what do you think moving forward? What do you think we need to do as a country?
Well, I go to people. What's your age?
21.
I go to 135 and I asked them the question, and the question says, detached, and I didn't understand. I do that right now when I'm just talking about. I ask people in general, how do you feel about this issue? Because I need that age at 25, 35 age is what I need, because I got to find out, because the leading of any movement is around 30, 20, 35. Any movement you go to. I even with the movement of detachment, too many movements. And we get into a movement where everybody wants to be tough, and then we lose sight. And we have to promote. Is it worth it? Is it worth it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is it worth what we gain, what we gain, what we lose? But if I have nothing to lose, what difference does it make?
Good point, sir.
Now, how do I take nothing to lose and promote something for them to look at? The old guy told me in the VA hospital, and everybody what he said to me. I said, hey man, this ain't my world. And he said, what about your grandchildren?
Wow.
Look, man, I'm ready to get off the planet. What about your grandchildren? What are you gonna leave to them? I said, but that's not my. He said the people back, sir.
That's
The
right.
people back did some kind of damage back east during the days of the riot.
Yeah.
He said they were raised there. They raised themselves. They're not those who were raised with someone that said, "Come here, boy. Let me talk to you." Then a military man stood back down the streets of, and he said one thing that always stuck to me. He said, "It takes the village, it takes the community to make a change," and that stuck with me. And this man said that. So your generation can only go. I said life is like a rubber band. You can stretch it so far, and then it's gonna pop.
Yes, sir.
So, but when it does pop, learn something from it. Because we're not getting anywhere now because we're struggling with I can't even watch the news nowadays. I'm down to watching SquarePants, Bob SquarePants,
SpongeBob.
because I can't get nothing on the news.
Yeah, that's true. They say
Sit that back and
fake
forth.
news. They just can't decide which news is fake. But I think it's all fake too.
Yeah. So what I'm saying, the decision has to come from the American citizen.
Ah.
How do we want to build
Mm-hmm.
this country? And not make excuses. And this is why, if I was running for political office, no, I would come at the common man, reach him. Common man, common sense. That's all you want. Because you folks have that website stuff nowadays. You get all kind of ideas. I thought it was good or bad, but I don't know. You folks, I got a friend, man, opened up the whole business on that. So, so I kind of like, you got the biggest asset here, but we're not being able to cross over into that. I think when we get to throwing sucker punches, I think we get in trouble that way. But I respect everybody. And always, I picked up a bunch of, I guess, I pick up people on the street, gang members, whatever, but I always make them feel important with what they have to say. And then I can, you may be right.
It's a great way.
But let's look at the other side.
But that made him feel good that someone's listening to
yeah.
what he's saying.
It's a great way to look at it.
Good on you, brother.
And I say, man, that is correct. And wow, nobody's probably ever said that about it. It's like the first day when I was in the 5th grade, and I found out that I knew a little bit something. I had cleaned out underneath the sink, and the teacher said, "Golly, it was looking good." So ever since then, I said, "Okay, I got something." So anyway, life as it is, for generations, we've been distracted. When the guy said distracted, because I don't want to burn your car down if I got to hit the ride to work tomorrow.
Okay.
You see? And everybody looks at that and they say, wow, all right, fine. But if I got nothing to lose, what difference does it make? See, this is where we got to get into that. You got a whole lot to lose. This is a country. This is a beautiful country. We got, everybody's trying to get here. We don't need to tear down. We need to build up. We have countries of, now let's not get into, it's like me going to you and say, as a politician, and said, there was a politician that said a chicken in every pot. You check it out, he said that. What that meant was everybody's fed, happy. And then you come along and we know that, I always like to say to you, I said, picket fence and all that, but we know that that's, in the generation we live in, it's a lot of difficulty in that right now. So we must be realistic. But I can play on your emotions though. I can say, yeah. And you say, yeah.
Resist.
And then you would say, and then after it's all over, 6 months later, where are you? So the most important thing in life is to,
So give us last words. What would you like to say to the city of Porterville?
I think it's great. I think it's
people in general. What would you like to give last parting words?
I think it's a great place. I think that we're going to be able to now within the next 2 or 3 years be able to now finite a lot of things, be able to see what's working and what's not working. And my thing is, I'm more concerned now about the homeless.
The homeless, yes, you talked about
Homeless
that
is the major concern. If when that's the major thing, we'll be whoever when we work with that. I've heard a lot of people like to work with that, but we have to get something together to work with the homeless situation. And mainly what we can do is mainly the showers,
Right.
meal and showers. Now you know, I know the scripture says the poor will be with you always, but only do what you're capable to do, and that's one thing that you can do.
You know, Stephen Colbert, real quick, he put it the best that I've heard. It's that if we want to say that we're a Christian nation, if we want to believe this, then we actually have to either accept that Jesus told us to help the poor and that we don't want to, or we actually have to help the poor.
Yeah,
you know, we can't do one or the other.
Right.
So anyway,
But I'm not cutting out, but I learned that when I was in Israel, or Egypt, wherever I was, I took a patent of chewing gum. And I will never do that again when I go to a third world country.
because they wanted chewing gum. All the
I can't
children.
feed everybody.
Yeah, you can't feed
I
everybody.
didn't have the means.
Yeah.
you're right.
I didn't have the means to give, and they were running to me. And I didn't have the means. Oh my God! You know, so that taught me a lesson.
Wow.
You know, always have the availabilities, or do what you can do. Do what you can do that doesn't cause you to sweat or get nervous. Because what happens when the kids start mobbing me, I was, so we just can't. I didn't bring enough gum, and I couldn't give everybody gum.
Right.
Yeah.
So always within your capability.
Right.
Now we make a mistake when we say that.
Of course.
Always within your capability. Make it so that if I have the means to do it, because that was sad. They were running, man, to get that chewing gum.
Okay, so
You have one more question?
yeah, let's go one more question. Do you think that in order to help the poor that we need to put the burden on the rich to pay more, or do you feel like the burden is on all of us together?
I saw a site the other day, which I don't know where it, and I don't know where it belongs in this picture,
Right.
but it's a family. I mean, and the baby and other children looking for donations. So I don't know how to put that in perspective. Because I know. Now you just said something what Stephen said. Now my heart, how do I address that? It's a family.
Right.
Now I had a young man out here with his two boys in front of my door, waiting for a bus down south because we don't have a place for male and children. So I walked out, and the kid drinking Coca-Cola in the morning, Pepsi. I said, and I gave him some money. I said, go down and get these kids something to eat. Pepsi? I'm talking about leaders too.
Oh, okay. I see.
And he had to go down because they gave him the train ticket to down south, where there is a home down there. Now we don't have a male home in this area, male children. Very seldom have female. We do have one, but we cannot. Now here again, can we take care of all that's here? If they're having trouble all over, San Francisco, Fresno, Batesville, can we, every time I see someone, now the guy's got the best deal down there sleeping on the parking lot down here in his car. He just there. But he's one. And probably goes to shower, whatever.
Yeah.
But let's do what we can do. Now we can set that shower system up somewhere.
Correct.
And I'm still going to toot Helping Hands horn and have a way that they can come in there, get a clean pair of pants and a shirt, and donated some good old brand new underwear from somewhere, take that junk they got on, throw it in the trash can, get that fresh shower, and go on about their business. We can do that.
You're right.
And he can get on his bicycle or her bicycle, and they can go down to the next station, but they can be clean.
Well,
And last, before we go, just if you want to tell the people about one more time about the business, and if they want to get in contact with you or anything like that.
We're located at 317 West Henderson. Phone number 781-8585. And with the new regulations, it's extensive. It takes a village type approach. Families can be involved in it. Non-relatives, whosoever will, can be a part of the new system that's taking place for child care in the state of California. Thank you.
thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure to have you on the Putnam Beat, our first broadcast here, so go easy on us, but I think we're on the right page, and I just want to thank you again for listening, and thank you for having us, and, this has been a great day.
And I think the idea that the more you go on with these very interesting people you come involved with,
Right.
it's going to make because this is like going into the pits and asking questions and realizing that there are people who are concerned out here. Team effort.
We're all in this together.
We're
This
all in
is
this together.
This is what the United States is in, a teamwork effort. And I think that's exciting. I to get people involved. But got to be the key word, non-judgmental. Remember that.
Non-judgment. Well, thank you again. This is Austin Slater,
And Jonathan Ogans.
and this is the Putnam Beat, the local word on the street.
Thank you, everybody.